Hi, Rex Rogers from Cairo, Egypt. We're still on our Middle Eastern trip. We were going to go on to another country from here, but that's not now going to happen for a whole variety of reasons. So we want to continue this vlog series, however, and to tell you a little bit about some things that happened today. One of those ones was the experience of changing tickets. And between last night and today, it took about 15 minutes of emails on my part to talk to a travel agent and then to acknowledge that which I received. And my itinerary was completely reworked the way it needed to be. My colleague, however, spent between last night and today 4 hours on the phone talking to a local airline here in Cairo, working through their unbelievably Byzantine system, just bureaucracy basically, and taking that long before he finally got what he needed to have happen. Now, to be fair to that airline, that which my colleague was asking was a little more complicated than what I was doing, but at the same time, it was just pretty incredible to think that he sat in there and waited and waited and waited for the right service. And really what happened when he finally got the right person with the right mood and speaking directly to her, she was able to take care of things pretty quickly, even called him back at some point. So it's amazing how much difference the right person can make when you finally get to them. But culture has a lot to do with how the system works. Interesting part of this trip, just to see what's on the roads. And today I took a picture of a small pickup with no fencing, no kind of barriers around the edging, just the normal deck. But standing in the back was a full-size Angus bull who was having a good old ride down the interstate. And apparently he was happy to stand there with the wind in his face. But boy, if he'd have wanted to move out of there, he certainly could have at top speed. We also saw another kind of larger truck with probably 5 or 6 camels with their heads sticking up out of the back end of the truck. That was pretty fascinating to watch that. I've seen trucks go by loaded down with sheep or sheep and goats. And then we've seen every conceivable kind of vegetable packed 8, 9, 10 feet high above, again, what you would expect the truck to be able to carry. And somehow they get it all on there. And sometimes you see people sitting on top of all that with utter unconcern, seemingly for their own safety, as they go on down the road. I think one of the biggest difference in the traffic, I've mentioned traffic before, but one of the biggest difference here in Cairo and the traffic I experience in other cities in the world is the number of people, and this isn't, of course, on the main highways, although it can happen once in a while there, but the city streets, there are people walking out in front of cars, in between cars that are moving at all times. And they seem to be fearless. I mean, an older woman will step right out in front of a car going 35 or 40 miles an hour, and she's not that far in front of it, but she expects that car to stop, and somehow it does. Somehow it goes around. And all of the cars driving down the road, they kind of drive wherever they can find a space to shoot into. Lanes don't mean anything. So it is an incredible cacophony and confusion of things that are going on. We pulled out tonight. We were driving just a little ways, and all of a sudden, coming straight at us and then across in front of us were a couple of kids, looked like they're about 19, on a motorbike. I mean, they were going opposite in the direction of the traffic on this like 3 or 4 lane city street that was moving pretty quickly. And again, we've seen trucks coming straight at us on the wrong side of the road, and you just have to move out of the way. It's just the way it works here. And I don't know why they don't have more accidents than they do. The time that I've been here, I've seen one accident, and that was more or less kind of a fender bender, kind of a bump of a motorcycle. And I don't think the young man or the motorcycle was hurt much. Certainly the vehicle wasn't. But boy, they learned to do it, I guess. But it's looks unsafe and can certainly scare the liver out of you when you've got somebody walking right out in front of the car. Another thing we've experienced, I think, here is this fact that everybody here has a national ID. And, of course, we have driver's license, and we use those for identification purposes in airports or anywhere we go and with our driving. And we get those when we're about 16, 17 years of age, or maybe 18, depending on state. Here, when anybody turns 16, male or female, they have to go register with the national government. And then they keep that national ID number, almost like we have a social security number, but this is a national ID number personal to them. They keep that for the rest of their lives. And it has on there not only their name and their gender and their picture, it has their religion. That's declared on there, and it's something that never changes. No matter what your religious persuasion may be, it may change. The national ID doesn't change in terms of your background as Christian or Muslim or whatever it might be. That's kind of a fascinating thing. As I mentioned yesterday, the police are everywhere. There's a high degree of accountability and security. Another things we've experienced, we've been in New Cairo a number of times. And New Cairo is absolutely mind-boggling. It's almost like Dubai without the high-rises. It is an incredible place of high-end housing in apartments, about 4 stories, 5 stories high, of restaurants to no end, of large, very large, major corporations that are now located not that far from the airport, and of malls, these impressive-looking malls and even stadium. And these things have all this has been built in the last 15 years. 15 years ago, where New Cairo is located outside of the city of Cairo toward the airport, there was nothing 15 years ago but sand and dirt, and they're continuing to build. And there's 5-lane highways going down through and past this thing, and hotels, 5-star hotels. It's just mind-boggling to see it and to think that this has all been created in such a short time. And not only created in a short time, it's now populated. I mean, it's wall-to-wall people. And these people have to have some degree of income or they wouldn't be living in there. This is a high-rent district. So what they all do, I have no idea. But they're equally fearless, by the way, of walking in the traffic as anybody up and down the socioeconomic ladder. So those are some of our experiences today. We're continuing to make short videos in and around Cairo, as we did earlier in Amman and the rest of Jordan, as we got out and about, and we're talking about the site behind me, or we're talking about the studio that might be behind me, and then segueing to conversations, comments about Sat 7, and making 1 or 2 or 3 points at most for the folks back home. And we tend to use all those videos, edit them as needed, and use them on social media over the next few weeks or months. So that's for primary purpose for me to be on this trip. It's been exciting to do that, interesting. I've enjoyed it a great deal more than I thought I would. So here we are in this vlog, and this is number 6, I think, and we're here from Cairo. We'll catch you again.